This video is brought to you by Phifertex. In this video we're going to show you how to use the Sunbrella Centerfold binding. This is a binding that folds naturally in the center. You don't necessarily have to have a binder attachment when you use this binding. Here you can see Deb in the Phifertex loft installing the Centerfold binding to a slingback chair cover. She's sewing 2 layers of a Phifertex Plus material together, and along the edge she's installing the Centerfold binding. You'll notice that she folded the Centerfold binding along that raw edge, and now she's sewing it with the Phifertex Big and Tall sewing machine. You can see that as Deb sews the material, she works approximately a foot or 2 ahead to fold that Centerfold binding along the raw edge of the material. Because the Centerfold binding folds fairly easily, this is a great binding to use if you don't have a binder attachment. Notice here when she gets to the corner, she creates a 45-degree angle at the corner and then turns the fabric over to fold it under the underside. She'll move ahead with the sewing machine until the needle is right at the corner, and with the needle buried, she'll lift her foot, pivot on the needle, and roll the fabric around so she can sew down the other side. That's a perfect way to make a 90-degree corner with the Sunbrella Centerfold binding. Because the Centerfold binding is rather soft and it's also woven, it obviously goes around a 90-degree corner quite nicely. If you chose the regular Sunbrella marine grade binding, it would not go around a 90-degree corner well. You'd have to cut it and then sew it over the top of itself. But with the Centerfold binding, you can do this. It's a little bit lighter binding. So here again she's coming to another corner, and now Deb Randall will explain exactly how she does this.
Okay, you pull this up tight, keep that at the edge. Bring this down, fold that back. Should make you a corner. Okay, and do the same here. Pull it straight forward. Hold it at that flat edge. Bring that up. Should make you a corner.
Okay. All right, Deb. Thanks. Now she'll continue to sew.
Just walk up to that point. Bury your needle in that corner. Lift your foot and turn, holding this underneath. And feel your edge at the edge of your binding.
The Phifertex Big and Tall sewing machine is using the MCSCR power system. That's why we get all this slow speed control. So we can do 1 stitch at a time. It's not like a standard clutch motor. So that's one of the major advantages of the MCSCR power system by Phifertex. We're going to show one more corner here, and Deb's going to use a screwdriver here to explain a little bit more.
If you hold this flat, bring that up, you can see that angle it's making right there. Okay, you have your top angle. So, pinch this together, lift it up. That same thing here. Pinch it down, pinch it together, hold this out.
By leaving the needle buried in the fabric as we're doing here, you can easily pivot on the needle. That way you don't lose your sewing position, and then you can continue sewing, so it makes a perfect 90-degree turn. Remember, you can't really do that with a standard Sunbrella acrylic binding, but you can with the Centerfold Sunbrella binding. Here's a close-up of the underside. She looks great. And now we've sewn around the entire perimeter and are coming up to the point where we started this Centerfold acrylic binding.
You want to cut off enough to where you got enough to fold it over so that you've got a finished fold edge. And just take this, hold it back against itself. Here.
In the Phifertex sewing loft, for canvas jobs that are going to be outside, we use Tenara thread. It will never rot in the sun. And that's a quick overview of the Sunbrella Centerfold binding sold by Phifertex. It's your loyal patronage to Phifertex that makes these free videos available. Thanks for your support.